Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first step of the final in the 33rd CIUTAT International de Barcelona, the 12th stop of the European Bowling Tour 2012. It's a pleasure for me to introduce to you the three players in the final. The highest rank from Finland, Mika Koivunieemi. And the second rank from Sweden, Robert Andersson. And finally the third rank, also from Sweden, Martin Larsson. Number 2 and 3 will now have a few practice balls while Mika is going to the end of the center, and after that we will begin the match.
Welcome, bowling fans. A really warm welcome to the Bowling Pedralbes in Barcelona, 14-lane centre, one of the smallest centres on the European Bowling Tour, but it's a centre with the biggest heart. You join us for the final of the CIUTAT de Barcelona tournament, a beautiful 12th tournament on the European Bowling Tour, and you've reached the semi-final of the step-ladder final here in Barcelona. This is a one-game match. As you heard in the presentation, Robert Andersson from Gothenburg in Sweden is number 2 seed, and number 3 seed is Martin Larsson, also from Gothenburg in Sweden, and both are members of the famous Team Pergamon, a force to be very much reckoned with in European bowling and sometimes on the Pro Tour too. Sitting next to me, I have Andy James as a co-commentator and a very illustrious guest. Just 2 away from me is Brian Voss, PBA player and Hall of Famer. Welcome, guys, and enjoy the match.
Thank you very much, Keith. Yeah, we're much looking forward to it. And yourself, Brian?
Thanks, Keith. Nice to be here. I wish I was bowling, but I can't think of a better place to be, right here.
Well, you've had invitations to sit on the desk here with our TV commentators a couple of times, but you keep making the finals, and you won the Catalonia Open here in February, or was it March? One of the two. It was earlier in the year anyway.
Yeah, I've had a little bit of luck here in Barcelona. It's a wonderful city. All the players enjoy coming here. I have to think it's one of the highlights of the year, this event right here in July in Barcelona. Perfect weather.
You like thunderstorms and rain?
Well, the weather, yeah, it's been a little different this year. Normally, it's nice every day, but we had a little mix this time. We had some rain, had some thunder. A lot of thunder going on right now on the lanes. I tell you what, we got a couple of Swedes bowling against each other. They know each other really well. It'd be interesting to know the history of these two guys. Obviously, they're both from the same country. They've had to battle it out before.
I haven't seen them matched against one another. Normally they would be bowling together. And they've had medals in World and European Championships bowling as doubles teams. Mm-hmm. I think they had gold in the World Championships 2008, somewhere around there in Bangkok. Mm-hmm. I think. Maybe. I stand to be corrected. But of course they are a force to be reckoned with at all times in lanes all over the world.
I'm pretty sure in this situation they'll be putting themselves outside of their team and playing for themselves for the money as well.
Well, they're bowling practice balls at the moment, getting used to the pair of lanes that they're playing on. And as soon as they've had those practice balls, I believe 2 frames per player, per lane, they will commence play. Not sure who's going to start. Player will start on lane 5, bowl 1 frame, and then the player on 6 will bowl 2 frames. They'll be playing match play style.
Well, I will say that in the history of this particular tournament, lane 6 has been the unfavored lane for anybody to finish on. It seems to have been the one that's a little bit more difficult. I would think that Robert Andersson, being the higher seed, would choose to finish on lane 5. So he, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, you're right, Brian, because we've had 2 boards difference sometimes on some of the finals with between 5 and 6.
Well, it's not only during the finals. I mean, it's during competition too. You really know that every time you come to lane 5 and 6, that 6 is going to play a little bit different than 5, and you have to be a little more precise. and it looks as though we'll see who's going to finish on that lane.
Well, it sorts out the men from the boys. Okay, Kim Torsgaard Jensen, the director of the European Bowling Tour, will introduce.
We're ready for the first step of the final in the 33rd CIUTAT International de Barcelona. And both opponents are from Sweden. And beginning on the left lane is Robert Andersson. And on the right lane, Martin Larsen. And Robert Andersson will begin the first frame.
Wow, you're right, Brian.
Well, if Robert Anderson's going to start on the left lane, that means he's going to finish on the right. Maybe he likes the right lane a little bit better, but I just know from the past that that's been the more difficult of the two lanes.
I think you had a bit of trouble in the Catalonia Open earlier in the year. Once again, finished on lanes 5 and 6.
All right, we've got a little excitement in the crowd back here. We're trying to get them all to kind of hush up a little bit and watch this first shot.
He came in a bit high on that first shot, left himself the 3-pin.
Well, more often than not, when a match starts, players, are just trying to really get a feel for the lights, a feel for the start of the match, and should have no problem with this pair.
Yeah, it converts that quite easily. Brian, you bowled on TV many times in the United States. Usually the lights are a little bit closer to the actual pair of lanes than they are here.
Yeah, lights have, the thing about lights is when they're in certain spots, you can see shadows that you would not normally see during competition, and they also tend to make the lanes change a lot faster. But we've had worse lights than this, but these are... nice shot there by Martin.
You're not wasting any time getting started.
It looks a little bit on the light side to me, but certainly carried all 10 pins in the pit.
Martin's a player that I've got to watch over the years, and he has an uncanny ability to change his timing. I've seen him start the ball really two different ways, and he's very good at both of them. This week, he tends to start the ball a little bit lower than what he normally does, moves his feet a little faster. But he's a very, very talented player.
He had a couple of years off the top, but he certainly made a comeback this year.
Well, I think the recent child that he has had has given him a little motivation and a different perspective in life. And as we see a lot of times over players' career, after they have that first child, they just seem to have a different perspective on life, and they can bowl bad and go home to that little child and see it still smile, and that's what he told me before this match.
That little child is Isabella, born on the 1st of January, I believe.
Isabel.
Nice name. I've got a granddaughter, Isabella. Robert bowling a little bit wide, leaves the washout.
Well, you start to see the characteristics of lane 6 as we've seen over the years. If you miss a little bit right, it just doesn't want to make it back. You just got to be a little more precise on that lane. 5-count washout.
1, 2, 4, 8, 10, believe it or not. And a nice conversion. A hard ball down the middle is not being affected by the idiosyncrasies of lane 6, Brian.
I think, you know, that most great players, whenever they leave a washout or certain types of split, they'll stand in the exact same spot and roll the ball a certain way, whether it be hard and straight or use a plastic ball. But it's a good tip for you folks back home. No sense trying to guess where the oil is or isn't. Just figure out a good spot to stand in and do it exactly the same every time.
What equipment is Robert using?
Oh, well, let's see here. Robert is, well, he's actually using a combination of Storm and Brunswick. Looks from here he's using a high road on the left lane.
This is a better ball. It still leaves the 10. Seems to be getting into the fishing stage. It's only the 3rd frame.
Yeah, the problem with these games when they're only one-game matches is they just disappear so fast as a player. Especially when you're dragging behind.
Once again, a hard ball down.
I have to think that most matches, you know, especially on television, the first 5 frames you're trying to stay clean. You're just kind of jockeying for position, but then the last half of the match, historically, and we don't know the history of these two players, but the better players usually come out on top in the second half.
Well, 3 strikes in a row for Mr. Larson, and we call that a turkey over here. What do you call it in the United States?
Well, you can call it a turkey, a 3-bagger, or a good start, whatever. He's got the first 3 in a row. But once again, you see the characteristics on lane 6. I mean, the ball just barely made it back to the head pin. But it was enough to knock them all down.
Unfortunately, I have a cameraman standing right in front of the pins on lane 6, and I can't see, and the picture has disappeared for a moment. Can he make it 4? It's looking good.
Oh, yeah.
I love the way that 10-pin went.
Yeah.
He's certainly very happy with his bowling right now. He's not missing. Keeping cool.
When Martin's bowling really good, what you'll see when that ball gets to the very top of the swing, it will pause for a split second. It's a beautiful thing to see, but he does it really, really good with both forms of timing that he uses. Now, after missing the head pin on the right lane, let's see if he can Robert can get something going here.
Robert was 19 in the first frame, 34 in the second, and working on a spare. This looks better, and solid in the pocket for a strike. That gives him 54 in the 3rd frame. Martin Larson is 60 in the 2nd frame with having 4 in a row.
You know, for some of the viewers back home, if you study the Swedes and their technique and the way that they start the ball and the way that they move their feet, you'll see a lot of similarities in all of the players. They've all got really good footwork, real good rhythm, and obviously a lot of experience. And
they have 101 years in bowling. The
Well,
first bowling centre opened in Sweden, in Stockholm, 101 years ago. That's a better ball too from Rob. But he's got to play catch-up.
Well, you know, sometimes when you watch a match, the players aren't going to touch hands, they're not going to do anything, but you see the camaraderie that these two players have. They come back and, you know, they want a good match, they want to see the best. Give me your best, but, you know, they're slapping hands afterwards.
Well, I did a little interview with them just before the match started, and they said they don't mind playing one another, they're good friends. Martin is captain of the Team Pergamon, of course. Ooh, that's not a good one, leaves a 2-10.
Well, you know, we're just going to have to say it again. There's that.